Okay, let's sing from Prarthana, Lalasa Mayi Prarthana, song Gauranga Bolite Habe. It's page 85 in the small book. Lalasa Mayi Prarthana. Page 85 in the big one, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just doubt it. Just share with Gauranga Bolite Habe Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Na Yane Babenira Gauranga Bolite Habe Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Na Yane Babenira Gauranga Bolite Hari Hari Bolite Na Yane Babe Haraka Benita Chande Karuna Oibe Sansara Vasana Mora Kave tucha habe Haraka Benita Chande Karuna Oibe Sansara Vasana Mora Kabe Tucha Habe Vishaya Chadiya Kabe Shuddha Bemana Kabe Mahera Boshri Vrindavana Chadiya Kabe Shuddha Bemana Kabe Mahera Boshri Vrindavana. Vishaya Chadiya Kabe Shuddha Bemana Kabe Amahe Rabo Shri Vrindavana. Rupara gunata pade hoy be akuti kabe hama buja bose yugala piriti tapade hoy be akuti kabe hama buja bose yugala piriti. Rupa raghunata pade hoy be akuti kabe hama buja bose yugala piriti. Rupa raghunata pade rahumora asa pratana koro ye sada narotamadasa. Rupa raghunata pade rahumora asa pratana koro e sada narotamadasa. Goranga bolite habe pulaka charira hari hari bolite na yane babadira. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Oh, Brahmanandi. Give me that. Thanks. Alright, so I'll read the translation. This is by Narottam Das Thakur, Srila Narottam Das Thakur Ki Jai. When will that opportune moment come to me when there will be shivering of the body as soon as I chant Lord Gauranga's name? And after the shivering, while chanting Hare Krishna, when will there be tears pouring down my eyes? And when will Nityananda bestow his causeless mercy upon me, so that my desire for material enjoyment will become very insignificant? When will that time come? When my mind is completely purified, been freed from material anxieties and desires, then I shall be able to understand Vrindavana and the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, and then my spiritual life will be successful. When shall I be very much eager to study the books left by the 6 Goswamis? One has to learn of the conjugal loving affairs of Radha, Krishna through the teachings of these 6 Goswamis. Narottam Das always prays to remain at the lotus feet of Srila Rupa and Raghunath Das Goswami. Srila Narottam Das Thakur Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistikir. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Samambonam, Chapter 84, The Sages' Teachings at Kurukshetra, Text 1. Shri Shuka Vacha Srutva Prita Subalabhutri Ata Yagnaseni Madhavi Hata Shitipa Patniyaha Uta Swa Gopya Krishne Akila Atmani Harau Pranaya Anubandham Sarvaha Vishishmyuhu Alam Ashtukala Akula Akshaha Shri Shukavacha Shrutva Prita Subalaputriyata Yagnaseni Shrutva Prita Subalaputriyata Yagnaseni Madhavyata Shitipa Patniya Uta Swagopyaha Madhavyata Shitipa Patniya Uta Swagopya Krishne Kilatmani Hara Pranayanubandham Krishne Kilatmani Hara Pranayanubandham Sarva Vishismuralam Masru Kalakulakshyaha Sarva Vishismuralam Masru Kalakulakshyaha Madhavyata Shitipa Patnya Uta Swagopyaha Krishne Kilatmani Hara Pranayanubandham Sarva Vishismuralam Masru Kalakulakshyaha Ishukavacha Mataji. Sri Sukavacha Utva Prita Subala Putri Yata Yagnaseni Madhavyata Sitipa Patni Uta Swagopyaha Krishna Kilatmani Hara Pranayanubandam Sarva Vishismuralam Vasrukala Kulakshaha Sri Shuka Vacha. Shukadev Goswami said, Srutva, hearing, Prita, Kunti, Subala Putri, Gandhari, the daughter of King Subala, Atha, and Yagnaseni, Draupadi, Madhavi, Subhadra, Atha, and Shitipa of the kings, Patnyaha, the wives, Uta, also, Swa, Lord Krishna's own, Gopya, Gopis, Krishna, to Krishna, Akila, of all, Atmani, the soul, Harau, the Supreme Lord Hari, Pranaya, loving, Anubandham, attachment, Sarvaha, all of them, Vishishmyuhu, became amazed, Alam, greatly, Ashrukala, with tears, Akula, filling, Akshaha, whose eyes. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Shukadev Goswami said, Prita, Gandhari, Draupadi, Subhadra, the wives of other kings and the Lord's cowherd girlfriends were all amazed to hear of the Queen's deep love for Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and soul of all beings, and their eyes filled with tears. Please repeat. Shukadev Goswami said, Prita, Gandhari, Draupadi, Subhadra, the wives of other kings, and the Lord's cowherd girlfriends were all amazed to hear of the Queen's deep love for Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and soul of all beings, and their eyes filled with tears. Purport. Draupadi is the chief hearer in this assembly of exalted women. Since, as explained by Srila Sridhar Swami, she had asked a question, the Lord Krishna's queens answered by relating their respective stories. Since Gandhari and the other ladies named here were not even mentioned in the previous chapter as having been present, Acharya Sridhara concludes that they must have heard the queen's narrations only second hand. Indeed, Draupadi would never have spoken so freely in the presence of Prita and Gandhari, her elders, or before the Gopis, whose attitude toward the queens of Dwaraka was not particularly sympathetic. Even though the Gopis joined in shedding tears, it was more because of their being reminded of Sri Krishna's pastimes than because of any loving affinity between them and the queens. We should remember, of course, that there is always perfect harmony on the spiritual platform. Apparent conflict between pure devotees is nothing like mundane envy and strife. The jealousy of the gopis was more show than substance, being exhibited by them as an ecstatic symptom of their overflowing love for Krishna. Srila Sridhar Swami Pada further analyzes the phrase Swagopyaha as implying that these gopis were the queens Swaswarupa, the original prototypes of whom the queens were specific expansions. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Janajana Shalaka Chakshu Sanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Garati Vachalam Pangum Langete Girim Yatkipatamam Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramanandamadam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sodita Gododaya Pushpamanta Chitra Sando Tamonada Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthava Srimadi Tamal Krishna Goswami Namini Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthava Srimadi Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschyatta Desatarini. So this chapter is actually continuing from the previous chapter, and they're still in which place? Kurukshetra. So they're remaining there for like how many months? 3 months. So they stay there for around 3 months with all the relatives, and so they're meeting and discussing like that. Total, they stay for 3 months. And this here, Sukadeva Goswami is highlighting a few things for us to appreciate and also to know there are also different levels of love for Krishna. So even though the gopis and the cowherd girls, or the queens and the cowherd gopis were speaking about Krishna, they all were experiencing different levels of ecstasy. Now from our readings, we know these cowherd ladies were all expansions of Srimati Radharani. Okay? So Srimati Radharani is Ladini potency, and from her comes all these gopi expansions. And from Srimati Radharani also, the queens of Dwaraka expanded. Okay? Leading the queens is of course Rukmini Devi, and from her subsequently other expansions are like that. And the gopis are on what we say on a very high level, Mahabhav platform of experiencing love of Godhead. And when they are discussing, they do, as it's stated here, they do seem to be crying, but they're not crying because they're feeling what the queens are experiencing, not like that. When the queens are telling the pastimes, they are immediately thinking of Krishna in Vrindavan, and then they're feeling the separation, they're feeling the ecstasy that they had, the loving association with him. So all that reminds them, and so they immediately become, they feel so much ecstasy, they start shedding tears in the presence of all the others. And that's something to be understood. But it's not like they all don't have love. They have love for Krishna, but their love for Krishna is different. Queens, like we read in the previous chapter, the principal queens were satisfied with their association with Krishna, whereas the 16,100 queens, they were not so satisfied because they had the association of Uddhava. So when they heard from Uddhava about the gopis and how Krishna had exchanged loving exchanges with these gopis, the 16,100 queens hankered for such understanding of how they can show this kind of affection and love between Krishna and the gopis. So they were really hankering for those. So, which is what, if you had read the last few chapters, in the last verse, that's the the leader of the 16,100 queens, Rohini, she says, we desire the same contact with the Supreme Lord's feet that the young women of Vraja, the cowherd boys, and even the aborigine Pulinda women desire. The touch of the dust he leaves on the plants and grass as he tends his cows. So you can see how they are thinking. Whereas the queens, the principal queens, it is said that when Krishna meets with them at the Kurukshetra, together with the queens and the gopis, they had a rasa dance also. So they were also dancing. So after the dance, the queens were feeling, this is so amazing, because they had never experienced the rasa dance before. So then they were very proud, and so they told Krishna, this must be the best dance you have ever experienced, Krishna. So Krishna looked at them, smiled and said, you should talk to Radharani and see what she says, And so they asked Radharani, and Radharani looks at them and say, well, this is okay, it's not so bad. And then the queens were like shocked, she's saying okay. So then they were, Radharani could see that they were kind of astonished, because for them this was amazing. So then she describes the dance in Vrindavan. So when she describes the dance in Vrindavan, Rukmini and all the other queens immediately understood that there's no comparison between the gopis and Krishna and the queens and Krishna dancing like that, And so, but you can see here when we were reading in the previous chapter how not the main queens, but the 16,108 queens, they when they had heard from Uddhava, they actually hankered for such a relationship with Krishna like that. So in the same way, when we read all these things, we can't really appreciate it from our standpoint. Most of us are still at the anartha nivriti stage. We still have a lot of mundane desires, We're still thinking about paying our mortgages and stuff like that, paying the bills. So many things. So those things will always make us misunderstand, make us not appreciate what these queens and gopis are speaking about. And so, in one form or another, if we are not careful, we can also think that, well, when I was a young man, I used to dance in the disco, with my girlfriends and so on. It must be like that. It must be. Because we don't understand the higher taste, the rasas here that's described. It's not possible for us to actually appreciate this. It's not possible. For most of us, we should take a few notches down, after reading this and say, okay, that's nice, let's see where I am. So therefore, in the second paragraph, it's highlighted that we should remember, of course, that there's always perfect harmony on the spiritual platform. Even though the gopis look down on the queens, still it's on a different level altogether. And everything on the spiritual level is perfect, as it's described here, perfect harmony. And it's all done for the pleasure of Krishna. Every single entity in the spiritual world, whatever activities they are doing, the one aim they have in their heart is, would Krishna be happy? Is he pleased with me? Just like when we cook for Krishna, when we make the garland, we are not thinking, I am so expert in doing this. We are thinking, would he be happy? Would Srimati Radharani accept this? There's no envy in that kind of thinking. But when we read about how the gopis are looking at the queens and saying, big deal, they can dance, so what, So it is envy, but it's envy on a spiritual platform. But it's for the pleasure of Krishna. They're thinking, we could please Krishna better, They have pleased Krishna, but we will please Krishna better, like that. But not in a malicious way. Okay? Whereas in material world, when one becomes malicious upon seeing another's advancement of life, of his qualities, then we immediately become envious. And when one sees someone having more opulence, we immediately become jealous. So these are material qualities. We wish upon them not blessings, but wish upon them some shortfalls, shortcomings. We hope they slip and fall down, things like that. We wish upon the star. We are supposed to wish well for others. So in many ways, when you see Srila Prabhupada, when he writes his letters, he always writes, your ever well-wisher. So he's saying, I'm your well-wisher. I do not have any envy towards you. I also want you to see you come to Srimati Radharani. I want you to come to Krishna through the associates of Krishna. Come and serve. I am your ever well-wisher. I will always help you come to Krishna, no matter the circumstances. So do we think like that when we are in the stage of sadhana bhakti? Do we cultivate such qualities? So we can see here that it's so different. There's a dichotomy if you clearly study how we would react and how these queens and the gopis are reacting. The attraction of the gopis for Krishna, Srila Prabhupada says, and the affection of the members of the Yadu dynasty are both accepted on a spontaneous platform. They spontaneously love Krishna, and then it's considered, like ragatmika. That means their love for Krishna is spontaneous. Nothing comes in between them and Krishna to please Krishna. Nothing. No other thoughts, just how to please Krishna. So that's so spontaneous. Ragatmika, Srila Prabhupada writes. And then in comparison, Srila Prabhupada also says, whereas the attraction attraction he says of Kamsa to Krishna is fear. Jai Shri Shri Radha Nilamada Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Giridhari Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Shri Jai Chaitanya Gaura Chandra Ki Jai, Iskcon Guru Vrinda Ki Jai. And the attraction of Shishupal in envy to Krishna is not considered as devotional service. Both Kamsa and Shishupal are not considered because they are showing unfavorably to Krishna. They're not favorable to Krishna. They want to get rid of him. Whereas in the case of the Yadus, the Gopis, and even the queens, it's favorable because they want to please Krishna, not remove him from the scene, right? It's like in some shows you see how when someone is acting funny, you get a big cane coming in and grab their neck and pull them out. So we think like that. We want to put the cane and pull Krishna out of the scene. We want to put ourselves in the scene, you know. Most of the pastimes, it says starring Krishna, guest star, all the cowherd boys, and the demon. But we always want to put ourselves, I will punch them, I will do this, like that. But we never think, I will do it for Krishna. Because we are contaminated. Obviously, as you progress in your sadhana practice, the desire to please Krishna awakens. That is what sadhana bhakti is all about, to awaken that desire. It's inherent in all of us, it's already there, because we are all part and parcel of Krishna. Okay? We are all part and parcel of Krishna. So that means we have the same qualities and nature, but in minute form. So just like Krishna loves everyone, we also have the ability to love Krishna and every living entity like that. So devotional service should be executed in a favorable mood. The mood must be favorable. Everything must be done in a pleasing way, in a happy countenance. We cannot, get up in the morning, oh man, another day. Oh, it's so cold outside, I don't want to go to Mangalati, Yeah, sometimes people think those are not important, but the very act that you do, getting up to go and see Krishna, brings mercy to you, actually. That's all it is. And sometimes we think it's not important, but it's important. The Lord is watching. You may not think He's not watching, but He's watching, and His energies are watching, and they're all taking roll call. And then they will speak on your behalf to Krishna. Oh, look, that devotee is always there, Krishna, even though they are not good in this, they are not good in that, but they are coming to see you. Please show some mercy. So you will get some mercy, something. Some desire will creep in your heart, some affection for Krishna and his devotees will come. It will manifest slowly. And then the intention to do more for Krishna then awakens in the heart. That's what sadhana bhakti is. It's to awaken that tiny, tiny flame that has been that we are trying to diffuse over countless lifetimes, covering up that desire to serve Krishna and trying to change that desire to serving oneself. Is awakened by the process of sadhana bhakti. To allow us to see for real that I am actually the servant. At the moment we cannot understand what servant means. Jivera swarupoi krishnera nityadas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, that eternally our constitutional position is to serve. But that understanding is not awakened. No doubt we see ourselves serving our family, our nations, our pet dogs, our house, everything we serve. Yet we cannot see that we are actually truly, constitutionally, we are just servants, We can't see that. But sadhana bhakti allows us to awaken that understanding. I am the servant. That self-realization. That when you come to that stage in your life, knowing that I am truly the servant of Krishna and I'm happy to be his servant. That awakening hasn't set in many of us. So therefore, all these practices, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. Vaidhi comes from the word Vidhi, means rules and regulations. So it is required in the beginning stage, so that our modes of nature that is predominantly harassing us is pushed aside to reveal the true glories of the living entity, the soul, that he is not of this nature, not of this material nature. He is spiritual and he has an amazing relationship with Krishna. So it is, Prabhupada says, persons unaffected by attachment, material things, and envy said to possess equilibrium. That means they are not partial. They are, in fact, favorable to Krishna. They are not partial to material needs or this and that. So we can see in our practice of Krishna consciousness how we allocate our time, our resources, our energy to devotional service as opposed to our mundane material affairs. How we are. So even among the queens, you will read, as you know, in the pastimes of Krishna, how they exhibit so much envy with one another. Just like when Narada Muni comes to Dwaraka, and then he praises Rukmini in front of Krishna, saying she's such an amazing queen, she's showing a heart to a mendicant like him, such so and so, and guess who's listening? Satyabhama. And she becomes very envious. So she walks straight to Krishna and says, all right, I heard Narada glorifying Rukmani, and I'm sure you don't have to, talk about me anymore. So in the Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami says that is Satyabhama coming to a point of disappointment out of envy. But it's still different. She wants to please Krishna in her own way. Yeah? But it's not like she hates Rukmini or not. But that envy is more transcendental. For want of a better word, because English is so limited in its way of describing the spiritual envy as opposed to a material envy. So material envy, as I said, is based on malicious intent. Okay, whereas spiritual envy is not. It's a competition. Prabhupada uses the word competition. Oh, she did so nicely, she painted. Oh, when Krishna, so and there's another pastime where Krishna in the bowers, he takes the colors and he paints Radharani very nicely. He puts all kinds of lines around her eyes. And then another gopi sees that, and then she says, oh, Krishna seems to be so expert in painting this gopi. I'm sure there are other attractive gopis as well. So there's envy from those gopis also. But it's not the same. It's not the same. So it's all envy caused by disappointment, but to please Krishna. That's the idea. The whole idea here is to please Krishna. And we also see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 30, verse 30, if you look at it, you see how the gopis are searching for both Radha and Krishna. And then whilst they're walking, they see the footprints of Radha and Krishna, and then they start saying, oh, look at this, Seems like this gopi who's with Krishna is very cunning. She took Krishna away and she's all alone with Krishna now. And she's probably hugging and kissing him, and then she's not sharing Krishna with us. So they speak like that, and it sounds so that they are envious. But it's not like that. Or sometimes you see the cowherd men, cowherd boys, they have parties, they play, right, a lot, Krishna, Balaram. So sometimes Balaram is on one party, Krishna is on another party, and then they have mock fighting, wrestling match like that. And then Balaram sometimes wins, and when they win, the cowherd boys from Krishna say, okay, so you won this time, let's see how many times you can win, like that. So all this envy that comes up, but it is to enhance the pleasure, the loving exchanges among them. It is meant to please Krishna and Radharani, ultimately, both of them, Whereas when we are envious, we want to pound that person, make them into powder and then throw the powder in the Pacific or the Atlantic Ocean, and to disperse that person. Or we want to stomp on them, and then after stomping, step aside and spit on them, So that's malicious intent. We don't want them to exist. That's envy in the material world. So when our inability to tolerate someone else's opulence, the qualities, that is jealousy. That's material jealousy. But here, when you see all these queens getting disturbed, or it appears the cowherd ladies are disturbed or envious, this is called vyabhachari. This means the emotions that disturbs them so that they act in a certain way, that Krishna likes that also. So in the same way, one can understand that envy at the transcendental level is for pleasure of Krishna. We should also understand that envy has no room in devotional practice in the material world. We cannot have envious dealings with devotees. Particularly, we shouldn't have envy towards the spiritual master. Yes. You cannot have envy towards a spiritual master. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, Sri Krishna talks to Uddhava and he says very famous verse, Acharyam mam vijaniyam navam manyeta karhichit namartya buddhya suyete sarvadeva mayo guru. One should understand that the Acharya is as good as myself. He tells Uddhava. And they should never be disrespected. And one should never envy the spiritual master. We tend to envy. When you are neophyte and you don't know, you see the spiritual master being served very nicely by so many people, then you think, why he needs that? It's very difficult. People cannot relate to such things. When the Guru says, I want you to do this, they cannot because they are not ready. So therefore we have to be very careful how to develop the consciousness of a new devotee before we introduce them to advanced devotees. It's not that you pull someone from the street and say, hey, here is a devotee. In the old days, in the 80s, the competition among devotees was who's going to initiate more, So one time, I think this was in Australia. So one courier, he came to deliver something. At that time, they were doing yajna at the temple. So the devotees dragged the courier, and then he said, "What? No, don't worry. Just this is great. It's good for you." And he's like, "Oh, okay." He's like very friendly. So they put dhoti and tilak and made him sit in the yajna, and he got initiated. And then after that, he got on his bike and drove away. So it's disrespectful to the spiritual master, thinking he is just an ordinary person. And so Krishna says we can't do that. We should be very careful. Qualities like that are very prevalent in this material world. Things like there are 5 things Srila Prabhupada highlights. I think it's in the Adi Leela. He says 5 qualities of the material world is ignorance, misery, enviousness, egoism and anger. These are prevalent in the material world for the wrong reasons. But in the spiritual world, it's all for enhancing loving relationship with Krishna. In past times, sometimes Radharani gets angry with Krishna and says, I don't want to see you, don't want to look to you, I don't want to talk to you, in anger. And then Krishna will go and speak sweet nothings to her, and then she's like, then he says, let me see you smile. No, I don't want to smile. Look, let's look, and then they laugh and smile like that. Because these qualities are prevalent in the material world, they are affected by the 3 modes of material nature: passion, ignorance and goodness. So all 3 are not really important for spiritual life. We need to be beyond the 3 modes. Nistrayaguna bhava Arjuna. Krishna tells Arjuna, you have to rise above these 3 modes. When you are affected by these 3 modes, then you will conflate the feelings, the emotions with what reality is. You'll think it's okay, And sometimes devotees say that. They say, well, the spiritual master sometimes gets angry, so I can get angry with you also. Like you are so qualified. So we have to be very careful when we say such things, right? But at the same time, if our hearts are pure and we are doing it for the welfare of another person, if we are helping someone, if we are guiding them, if we are their Siksha Guru, so then yes, go, you can chastise, you can get angry, but because you are doing it for their welfare. And therefore it is very important. right? When we go around the world, you can see how people have so much of this enviousness and jealousy. So many people have this. They exhibit openly or they exhibit subtly, but it's always there. Because the Joneses, right, or the Smiths or the Joneses have it, I need it. Everybody is like that. I want to have. Yeah? So now you'll see next week or week after, right? No, in 12 days, the big day for everybody. 12, 13 days, 2 weeks from now, the Black Friday, right? Black Friday, Red Saturday, Green Sunday, and Blue Monday, like that, right? Or 4 days. People just go out, oh, I got a, 65-inch LED TV. And then the friend says, you did? Where? And then he'll go and buy a 75-inch so that he can brag about it, right? And then another person will say, I got this for a sale. And you know what? There's no more. I got the deal, You see, that's so common, And they are so proud. They come and tell you, I got this for a good deal, And you know what? No more. They're not selling anymore. Why do you have to say that, Because it is envy is there. I don't want him to have it. I don't want her to have it. I don't want others to have what I have. So those qualities are so prevalent. In the spiritual world, there's no inebriety about all these problems and so on. Material world is full of miserable conditions like that. And in the spiritual world, everything is done on the basis of friendship and love. It's all that. It's on that basis they are doing. Even though the emotions may seem very similar to the emotions exhibited in the material world, but it is done on the basis of friendship and love. Whereas here it's based on how I'm going to kill these people, going to get rid of them. Hope they if you don't like someone, you wish them bad. I hope he slip and fall down and break the leg, and I don't have to see them, right? Or the CEO, the boss, he's giving a lot of hell to us. I hope he gets this flu that's going around, Jai Shri Radha Nila Madhava Ki Jai, Shri Radha Giridhari Girid Govardhan Ki Jai. So you will see sometimes in the spiritual world there's stealing going on, there's fighting going on, but all done in the mood of friendship and love. And who's in the center? Always Sri Krishna. So in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 9th chapter, Krishna says, Samaha sarveshu bhuteshu. He says he's equal to everyone. Na me dvisosti. He says, I envy nobody. Even Krishna doesn't envy anybody. So we have to take lesson from that. Supreme Lord doesn't envy anybody. Say, I'm equal to all. I'm equal to every living entity. I give them whatever they need, they want. So we have to be very careful, because if we keep this envy in the heart and try to nurture it, and it grows, it becomes an offense. Srila Prabhupada says, of all the offenses of sin, the greatest one is against a devotee. Or in case, pure devotee. That means anyone who has dedicated their life to propagating the holy names of the Lord all over the world, or anywhere. They're trying to preach nicely. So we should never speak bad about any devotee who's doing. Therefore, we should not speak bad about any devotee, period. Because they are all doing something as much as they can. Of course, if you are the guru, if you are the administrator, the manager, you can chastise them to bring them in line to perform their sadhana bhakti properly. Simply taking initiation is not enough. It gives you a foothold to the glories of pure devotional service, initiation. If you don't take advantage of that, then what's the value? Better not take initiation. So we shouldn't simply tell people, take initiation, like numbers counting. It's like when we chant, we are counting the beads. Once it's done, it's great, So we shouldn't just go out to say, take initiation. No, you take initiation if you want to go back to Godhead. Actually, that is the reality. And the person who's taking initiation should understand this is a serious thing. It's not a simple thing. It's not just for, now I'm in a $1 million club, Now I'm one of the members of just name is different. So if we say we are International Society for Krishna Consciousness, so our consciousness should be of Krishna. So that's what we need to cultivate, work at it. We know where we are at, each of us, right? We know where we are at. And when we realize that that's where we are having shortfall, work on it. If you don't know, get together with a few devotees. Encourage each other, call each other and say, Haribol, Prabhu, Haribol Mataji, how are you today? How is your Krishna conscious today? Right? So that's why I always try and recommend devotees to keep a journal. So the whole day you write what you do, end of the day you look at the journal and see how Krishna conscious you were. And then you can cry. No, honestly, you can cry and tell Krishna, look, I'm not good enough. So when that is genuine, Krishna will say, no, you are sincere because you are thinking of trying to connect with me. And so that makes Krishna happy that you are thinking like that. And we are very fallen, come. Let's be honest, we are all very fallen. It's not that we are, like when I'm sitting on the Vyasasana, I'm floating, no, So we are very fallen. We don't have good qualities, And so we have to pursue this with firm determination, like I want to go back in this life. That's what Prabhupada said. He said, shoot the rhinoceros, shoot for the rhinoceros, Do your best, but in doing your best, don't step on other people's toes. Don't sit on another person's horn, it will hurt. Yeah, horns, like that. So Vaishnava, Srila Prabhupada says, Vaishnavas do not exhibit the qualities of envy and jealousy. So every time or any time we feel towards someone envy, immediately you should open your heart to the Supreme Lord and say, why is this happening to me? And then you will find that maybe because you're not chanting properly, maybe because you're not associating properly, maybe because you're not reading Srila Prabhupada's books properly. These are very fundamental things that Prabhupada has given. Prabhupada actually said there's nothing more for us. It's everything he has given, actually. What is required is that we have to change our consciousness. We are all like horses. You can bring the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. You can't force you all to be Krishna conscious. You have to want to be Krishna conscious. You really must want it. As Prabhu was saying, you need to develop that greed. Lowlium, Pranahari Prabhu was mentioning yesterday. You have to develop that greed. It has to start somewhere, but it starts in sadhana bhakti. And sadhana bhakti must be done properly to awaken that greed in your heart. It's there, you have it. It's just that you don't want to reveal it. You keep hiding it. And so, otherwise our mind will cheat and it will harbor kama, krodha, mada, moha, matsarya and bhaya. All these things will be hidden in our hearts. And we cannot show mercy to the living entities, jiva himsa. Jiva himsa means showing mercy to the living entity. And I think Srila Prabhupada says the greatest jiva himsa is not preaching. So we should, whatever our situation is, office, you go to office, give them some books, say, this is Thanksgiving week, I want to thank you all for being a good friend of mine. Here's a very nice book that has qualities that we want to develop. It is a spiritual book, but I'm not trying to make you into a Hindu or what, but I want you to learn the qualities in this book. Please read, like that. So So that's what you should do. Or if you feel they are not favorable, give them prasadam in your office. If you feel shy about doing that, that means you are not practicing jiva hinsa. You should always think how I can help this living entity who's suffering. So Prabhupada says, if you indulge in the mind, then the enemies of the mind, the six things, they will conquer you. And then you'll go in the wrong way. And they will create havoc in your life. And what is that havoc? Prabhupada says, specifically through the association of materialistic men and women. And so you have to be careful. When you associate with them, you give them Krishna, not take their association, you give your association. So, as devotees, we never give pain to others. We will take the pain. We will suffer, but we should never give pain to others. Rather, we should relieve people's pain and suffering. Now, before I end that, I will read something very nice from there. Chaitanya Charitamrita, just a translation, Srila Prabhupada. This is in Antya Lila, chapter 20, verse 56. Ye gopi mora kare dvesya, Krishnera kare santoshe, Krishna yare kare abhilash, mui tara gare yana, tare sevan dasihana, tabe mora sukera ullasa. This is Radharani speaking. If a gopi envious of me satisfies Krishna and Krishna desires her, I shall not hesitate to go to her house and become her maidservant, for then my happiness will be awakened. Think about that, what she is saying. So I'll leave you with that. Hare Krishna. Comments, questions, corrections? Oh, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for your lecture. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My question is, all these people were listed in this particular verse, and then also you spoke about Radha, and I'm still kind of getting through the Srimad Bhagavatam myself, but I wonder, is Radha mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam? And in what way is her name mentioned in it, or would you please help me understand?
Yeah, her name is mentioned, but in a very confidential way. Yeah, not openly, because the Srimad Bhagavatam is for in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, it says it's for the Paramahansas, that means very, very elevated personalities, those who are beyond the material qualities. They don't have any more material desires and so on. For them, when they read, they can understand the indications of the Srimad Bhagavatam openly. Now Radha is on a different level. Her devotion to Krishna is unparalleled, and it's unimaginable for the living entity like you and I to understand how she can do all these activities. So Sukadeva Goswami is very careful not to mention her openly like that. And that's one reason. The second reason that has been said is Sukadeva Goswami is also, in his spiritual relationship, is very dear and close to Srimati Radharani. So if he speaks her word, he goes into ecstasy. And there's only 7 days to speak the Srimad Bhagavatam. So if he goes into ecstasy, he cannot recover with enough time to speak the Bhagavatam. So therefore, he was very careful not to speak her word. But he does mention like aradhana, like that, in one verse, aradhyata. That means that gopi who's always serving selflessly to Krishna. So he highlights like that, but he doesn't speak her word, because to say the word Radha, he'll go into trance, and he didn't want to do that. Otherwise, we won't have the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, like that.
So when does speaking about Radha come into play, like in the literature, in the future literature? Would it be the...
In Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Revelation is there. But for us, in the beginning, we seek Radha in the altar like that, and then we just pray to her in that awe and reverence mood for now. And then as you perform, as you increase your relationship with the devotees and the practices deeply, then you can learn from a qualified devotee about Radha, not on your own. And then after that you can ask permission, and then you can read about Radha. Yeah. Otherwise you will confuse and conflate with your feelings and emotions. Yeah. All right? Yeah. Yes, Prabhu, you want to add something?
Different question. You know, I didn't catch the first part of the class, unfortunately, but you might have mentioned it, how envy means jealousy, but
Yes.
also a lot of the time it's used as like hatred or
Yeah, we talked about that.
malice. Okay, sorry, I missed that. So then, how does one? I guess I'm just wanting more insight on this point of, it seems like causeless hatred, that I just don't like somebody, or I just hate them, or I just want to cause pain, as you said. And it's quite a demoniac quality, and that malice, that malicious intent in the heart really needs to be uprooted. And so I like the verse that you read from Anchalila. Seems like that's kind of indicative of one of the solutions, is somehow to transform our behavior to actually render service.
Yes.
But I'd like to maybe hear if you have any more to say about this really demoniac quality, malice.
We have qualities that Krishna endows all living entities with. When these qualities are not used in the service of Krishna, they become, they turn the entity into thinking he is the enjoyer. So the Ishvara Bhava, because we are part and parcel of Krishna, so that enjoying tendency is there. So that goes on to the false platform, the false ego rises up, Ishvara Bhava comes in, thinking I am the true enjoyer. So when that becomes very strong, anyone, doesn't matter, even the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in the way. So we see that in the case of Hiranyakashipu, that he wanted to get rid of Krishna, Narayan, Vishnu. He wanted to kill him. And he formulated that by inhibiting Brahminical sacrifices, Vishnu would die, like that. Or we can fight with them, like Hiranyaksha. He thought that, he's going to be strong, I am stronger. So it really confuses the mind, the intelligence is totally gone. The covering nature, the avaranimitka Shakti of Maya then descends on that individual and captures the persons. And so he doesn't understand that there is a distinction between the Jiva and the Paramatma. And so he puts forward this false notion that he can conquer everything that he can see within his vision or with his own potency. So this, you can see, is totally bewildering. This potency of the material nature is so powerful, and that's why Krishna says, Devi Yesha Gunamaya Mama Maya Duradya. Actually, it's impossible to get out of this material nature. It is so potent. He says, you cannot. Mameva I prapadanti. Only when you surrender, then I can remove this covering. So this is what makes that living entity, as you said, causelessly angry and envious, like that. Yeah. And all because he wants to be separate from Krishna. But as again you also pointed out when you said, the best way to get out of it is to submit to a devotee and then say, you please engage me in service. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if you are envious of someone or something like that, if you hate someone or you Envy means you even find faults in them. You serve that person. You go there and serve that person. It may be difficult in the beginning, but so you stand outside the door and you bring the plate. Let someone else bring the plate to the person in the beginning. Later on, as your heart becomes less and less burdensome or envious, then you can walk one step inside the door and then put it on the table like that. So, it is the curative nature of the practices of devotional sadhana bhakti as well as the mercy of the devotees that makes you come out of this envious nature. Yeah. So therefore it's so important to do devotional service. Whenever you have an opportunity, you should take it up and then associate with the devotees. And so you get purified very quickly. Those who want to go on the express train, come every day to do some service. Those who want to go on the slow train to China, well, then hop on like that. That's a song like that. All right, is that good enough? Yeah. Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay. Kantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanandi.